Rob Manfred yesterday, before we get to Stu, Rob Manfred yesterday spoke to some reporters outside of New York City as owners were meeting and whatnot, and here's what he had to say about the reverse boycott the other night at the Oakland Coliseum.
Did you watch the A's game on Tuesday when the fans came out for the reverse boycott?
I was actually at a dinner with the owners.
Did you read the coverage?
I did.
I saw the impression of that.
It was great. It's great to see what is this year, almost an average Major League Baseball crowd in the facility for one night. That's a great thing.
He also said he feels sorry for A's fans.
I feel sorry for the fans in Oakland. I do not like this outcome. I understand why they feel the way they do. I think that the real question is, what is it that Oakland was prepared to do? There is no Oakland offer. Okay? I mean, they never got to the point where they had a plan to build a stadium at any site. And it's not just John Fisher. You don't build a stadium based on the club activity alone. The community has to provide support. And, at some point you come to the realization it's just not going to happen.
All right, that was Rob Manfred, and a lot of us feel like he was a bit tone deaf with those comments there.
This guy stinks!
Not showing any empathy. I wonder how Stu feels. Stu, of course, longtime Oakland A. We see him on the pre- and post-game show on NBC Sports California. I know he has some deep thoughts. He's from Oakland, California. I'm not even from Oakland. I feel some type of way about this move. So let's talk to Stu. Of course, 89 World Series champion. He dealt against the Giants. We know that. Stu, good morning, man. I wish I was talking to you about boxing because we got some great fights recently. Teofimo Lopez winning. We got Errol Spence and Crawford coming up. It's been a good year of boxing so far, but unfortunately, we're bringing you on to talk about this situation with the Oakland A's, and I know you have some thoughts about that. First of all, I guess we start with Rob Manfred's comments there. As we say good morning to you, Stu. What did you think about what he said about the reverse boycott and feeling sorry for A's fans?
I thought that it was I thought it was a great show by the fans of the Oakland A's going out to the ballpark and showing that there is support for the team and wanting that baseball team to stay here in Oakland. I was very, very moved by that display from the fans.
Dave, when you look at the team, right, and how they're trying to get through this, obviously they beat the Rays, you throw out Randy Arozarena. How does it, as a player, how does it affect you on a day-to-day basis when you know everything that's going on? How do you just go in, put your cleats on, left foot first, right foot second, and just go out and go to work every day knowing everything that's going on around you? How do you try to separate that, or do you not separate it, and do you maybe have that drive you even more? I want to put on a show for the fans that are here.
Well, I think you'll hear this on a regular basis. And they're professionals, and their job is to go out and play baseball. Their job is to go out and put it the best performance that they can on each day that they put the uniform on. There will be distractions. There's no doubt that there's distractions. You've got media that's circulating this thing, and this has been going on for a while. The conversation of the A's going to Las Vegas, it's been happening for a while, and so you deal with the distractions on a day-to-day basis, the questions from media on a day-to-day basis. But, the bottom line is, regardless of the outcome, the player plays for the organization. There's really nothing that he can do about that. What he is in control of is his performance, how he plays on that given day, and that's what you have to try to focus on.
We're talking a three-time World Series champion, World Series MVP in the 89 Babe Ruth series against the Giants, Dave Stewart, who was born and bred in Oakland, of course, with the St. Elizabeth's High School, just had his jersey retired, his number 34 retired last season. He's in the A's Hall of Fame, and I know this means a lot to you to see them move. Just the realization now of the governor of Nevada passing this bill and knowing that it's a foregone conclusion that the A's are leaving. What was that moment like for you, Stu, when you knew that, boy, this is really happening, that the A's are leaving after being rooted in Oakland for so long, over 50 years, Stu?
I've been following it closely, and obviously I'm a part of the history of the organization and actually have close ties to the organization. And so, when you know that it's out there and you're watching the steps and you see it getting closer and closer to that final decision, really what you just have to prepare for is that it's going to happen. And that's what I did when I had heard the news that it was signed off and ready to go to the owners vote. I had been watching it closely. It's almost as if though you're watching a relative that you know is fatally ill, and at some point they're going to leave this earth. Well, I relate that to the same thing in watching this process, and it's hurtful. As a kid, I was going out to the Coliseum to watch the A's play, and grew up watching the A's play, and so it really hits you in the gut when the final decision was made.
Dave, you say you've been following all of this closely, and look, the reverse boycott, I would call it a success. Honestly, I don't know about those numbers that Manfred is talking about as far as it being close, because I'm watching TV and I see a lot of empty seats when I see baseball highlights, at least for a lot of these stadiums. So I've been reading that there might be another planned reverse boycott, possibly when the A's play the Giants. The perception of A's fans, when I see things on social media that say, well, if they showed up, then they wouldn't be here, and people that just don't understand the situation because either they don't care enough or they're just too lazy to really dig into it. How do you feel about the current perception of A's fans and whether it's fair or not for those that don't necessarily understand the situation to think, well, if they like the team, why don't they go to the games? It's not that simple.
Well, A's fans, and they're the best fans in baseball. Point blank simple. You won't see better fans than the Oakland A's fans. I've been, like I said, going to the game since I was a kid, and there are people that were coming out to the park in the 70s that were coming to the park in the 80s when we were having our run and we were playing well for the city. And I think there was some carryover from the fans that we had that trickled over into the 2000 A's. They're just great fans, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I think that it is. I think that it is reasonable for fans to want to have, players that they can hold on to for a career. A Cal Ripken type thing, or a Tony Gwynn type player in your organization. I think that that's reasonable for fans to expect that. But at the same time, these fans show up, and they're big time Oakland A's fans. There's green and gold throughout the city. You can't question the faithfulness of the fans.
No, you cannot. We're talking to Dave Stewart, three-time World Series champion, 89 MVP in the World Series when the A's swept the Giants in 1989. Now, I know you wanted to be in on the plans to build a stadium in Oakland, California, Stu. We know a lot of people wanted to build in Oakland. What happened with that? And did you think that it was, I'm not going to say a farce that maybe the city of Oakland didn't want to build or wanted to spend money on it, but more so John Fisher from his angle? We haven't heard from him. We don't see him at all. And I think that's really disgusted a lot of fans on why they don't go to the games, because the owner doesn't look like he even cares there. So I guess, first of all, I'll ask you, what happened with the plans when you wanted to get involved with the stadium plan, and why did that go awry?
I don't really know what took place. It just didn't happen. But no, I have to say this, that John Fisher, if you really think about it, is no different than most owners in baseball. Mm-hmm. They leave the business of baseball to the people that run baseball, and so you're hearing from Dave Kaval, or you might hear from Billy Beane from time to time when Billy was a part of the organization. But that's common in baseball. That's not uncommon. Most owners are not the voice that you're going to hear. They are the voice behind the voice, but they're not the voice that you're going to hear. So what you're experiencing with Mr. Fisher is the same that you would with the owner of the Dodgers, or the owner of the Padres, or the owner of Philadelphia. Any baseball organization, the owner usually is the voice behind the voice. So that's not uncommon in the game of baseball. As far as the city of Oakland is concerned, and I believe I made this statement, and I'm getting calls from close friends that I'm mad at the Oakland A's, and that's not the case. I'm disappointed that this situation couldn't end up where we have a ballpark in Oakland, but at the same time, it's a bad divorce is what it is. Mm-hmm. The city of Oakland, they have blame too.
Yeah.
And their blame is, in my opinion, just as much as it is the Oakland A's. This process has been happening, as you said, for a long time. This isn't over the last 10 years of the Fisher administration. It went far beyond that and long before that. And now it's come down to this, and I believe that the reason why nothing happened in this particular case is that you got inexperienced young people that, in my opinion, they couldn't have done their due diligence on what the effect of a major league facility will do in a downtown area. And all you had to do is go right downtown and set right across the bay to San Francisco, or go down to San Diego, and you can see how those cities are flourishing from having a downtown facility. And so blame on the A's, blame on the city of Oakland, the city council of Oakland, not the fans of Oakland. Mm-hmm. Let's separate that, because the fans, as I've said, they're the greatest, but some responsibility has to sit on the city council as well.
Dave, when Rob Manfred speaks yesterday, and he says, "Well, there were no plans," but I'm sitting over here thinking, "Am I missing something, or did the Howard Terminal situation just never happen?" What did you think about what he said yesterday, and just give us your overall thoughts on how he's kind of approached this situation?
The truth is, I just heard his comments prior to coming on here on your station, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to say this. Maybe it's coming across, or maybe it should come across this way. I think that Rob, and I can't speak for him, is thinking that all the proposals for new stadiums were coming from the A's and Dave Calvel. With the failed attempt at Laney College. I think at one point they were talking about Fremont. They talked about, then it eventually got to Howard Terminal. And I think he may be looking at it as all these sites were proposed by the Oakland A's, and that the city council never came to the A's with a proposal or a proposed site for baseball. That's the only way I can think that he meant that. And there may be some truth to that. There may not be. Once again, I'm close to the situation and watching it and having conversations about what's going on. But, I'm not a part of the real conversations that are taking place between the team and city council.
Stu, I know this is tough for you, man. I can hear it in your voice. It's tough for a lot of A's fans out there. We've taken a lot of calls about it, read a lot of the reports, and it just stinks. It really just stinks that the city of Oakland continues to get punched in the gut, especially A's fans, man. They deserve a lot better. That's a passionate fan base. Go ahead, Stu.
Yeah, when you think about it, and I was once again speaking to a writer yesterday. A lot of today's baseball, you can point directly to the Oakland A's, and maybe I'm just egotistical in that way. But Charles Finley, he started a trend. He started a fashion of baseball with the Oakland A's uniforms, coming up with the different colored baseballs, with the marketing of the game. Charlie O the Mule and the rabbit popping up behind the behind the umpires with baseballs, and then it went from that to Billy Ball and that brand of baseball. And one of baseball's all-time best players to ever play the game, Ricky Henderson, with stolen bases, and the Oakland A's having the starting rotation of all the 20-game winners and the guys that were pitching an unbelievable amount of innings and complete games. There's a lot that you can point to the Oakland A's when it comes to the tradition of what's happening in the game today, and the impact that the Oakland A's have had on the game of baseball. And that's what's hurtful, when you think that they're going to lose their last major league franchise, and who knows if baseball will ever return to the area. That's really hurtful, and that is the punch in the gut.
Wow, powerful stuff there, Stu. Powerful stuff, man. We'll see you soon. Continue the great work there at NBC Sports California. We'll talk boxing next time. Trust me, you'll be a lot more uplifting when you have you back on the show. But we appreciate the time this morning. Go.
And you believe Teofimo retired, or you think
he's coming back, Stu. Come on, man.
Come back, 25 years old, man. Come on.
There's millions of dollars on the table for him, man. He's not saying no to that money. He's coming back. We're going to get Shakur Stevenson, maybe against Devin Haney. You got some blood. I mean, boxing's in a great. I think it's been a great year for boxing, man. A nice little bounce back year for the sport of boxing, Stu.
I agree with you.
All right,
You
Stu.
take care, man, and thanks for having me on.
Anytime. Dave Stewart, 3-time World Series champion, 1989 World Series MVP, man. He's so good, man. You could feel the pain. You could feel the pain.